Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Preacher's Son. This week I am talking about all my struggles I've had with Maschine. Working a Maschine is lovely, but I feel like you need to arrange in a DAW. I've tried every different combination over the years of what works, what doesn't work, benefits, disadvantages. I have literally tried it all. So in this video, we go through all the ways that I've used and the ways that you can use the two together. It does work, but some ways are a pain, some ways are great, some ways are quick. It's just whichever works for you. So hopefully you enjoy this. If you enjoy this, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Have you any problems with Maschine? Because I have. So let's dive in. Right. So one of the ways you can use Maschine with another DAW, in this case with Logic, because that's what I use, you can create or route whatever you're creating in Maschine directly out into the DAW so you can record it in real time. So what I mean by this is that you could record a pattern in Maschine, but you could also have it playing, mess about with it, but record the audio in real time, just like you were messing about in general. So I'll show you what that looks like. I have done this before, but I haven't done recently, but it is another way. So let's have a look. So here we go. So what we do is you put a sound into Maschine, and what you have to do in the mixer is you have to create Maschine as a multi-output. What I mean by that, so look, you get Maschine multi-output, so that can send up to 16 sounds to different areas in your DAW. So I've done that in this case, and then in Maschine, in the plug-in Maschine, not the standalone, you have to set each channel for an external where it gets sent to. So this sound on external one will go to this first channel, which has got set to MIDI output 1. So if we press it, you're the bravest. So that's just one of my vocals from one of my other tracks. But so what we can do, that's coming out of Maschine, getting routed to an auxiliary, and then the audio channel will be listening out for it. So we'll set it to record in a second, but let's do a pattern. I'll show you what I mean. So let's do with, right, okay, so let's just record anything. Absolute nonsense. So now, if we go back to the beginning in the DAW, we record, arm the track, and then press record, it will listen to Maschine in real time to what's playing. So this is what it is. There we go. See that there? So that's recording every time. So if I made changes, it would record it as well. See what I mean? And then you can add effects. I suppose you should be able to see have a go on this. It would help if you could see. So let's turn on this. Ta-da! Right, so this is what I'm messing about with Maschine here. So let's do it. I've recorded it. Well, we'll carry on recording, shall we? Let's do. It's carrying on, so let's add different effects. Right, so let's have a listen to. Obviously, we need to solo because it'll still play from Maschine. So you can either just mute Maschine, or you can record a solo this, and let's listen to this. See, it's got all the effects in there that we all listen to. So I suppose it's a bit like having an analog synth, recording in, messing about, then you can chop up the audio and do what you please with it. But you've kind of got using Maschine as a kind of step sequencer, but then you can use all the effects, record them, then use them as you please. So that is just one way I've used Maschine in the past with an external DAW. So another way you can use Maschine with your DAW is to drag out the audio that you create in Maschine as a plugin, and then drag it into your DAW, and then you've just got it done. It's already there. Benefits of this, well, the automation that you create in Maschine, in the Maschine pattern, goes with the audio. So let's give that a go. So we have got we've got a normal drum kit here. Yeah, so everything, that's fine, we're all used to this. But if as I mentioned, you could purely just click this button here, drag out the audio, and off you go. That is, you've got your kick drum done. But if you wanted a kick drum which has some, I don't know why, with automation, so let's go with Reverb Classic. So let's drag that out. It's gonna be on there as well. Mute that. So everything is on the audio. Nice and easy. You can do it sound by sound. So you could just simply highlight the amount, the ones that you want to export, and then drag out. So these are the low groove. So you could just have those two selected or playing, and then drag out. And you could do this for every sound. Could do it. But what some people do is file, export audio, and then you can say, I want to export this loop here, or or the whole thing if you've got like multiple scenes, or you can either do the sound or the group. So obviously every sound is on a different pad, so we would want to go a sound and then select the ones that we would export. So what this would do, it would export a loop length the size of the same loop in here of each individual drum sound, and then you can drag that into Logic or any DAW. So that is, as I said, the benefits of that is that it will carry on or carry over the automation, which is great because with Maschine you can have a lot of fun with automation. But then you are committed. So there's pros and cons, but that is the most fun way if you want to get a really good drum loop. But if you wanted to come back and make changes, then you would have to come back into Maschine, create a new pattern, and then export the audio again. You could chop up the audio, could be a bit fiddly, but that is what I've been doing, certainly with my drums recently, purely because of the automation options. So give it a go. So another way you can use Maschine with your DAW is actually to still keep it in MIDI, but have it in your DAW as opposed to in Maschine. So I did definitely used to do this. And what I liked about it is that you you still had the MIDI, so you were less committed, and you could just make quite easy pattern variations in your DAW as opposed to going back into Maschine to make a change in there instead. So I'll show you how that works. So let's go. And what we'll do in here, so for example, once again, we do a Maschine multi-output to your DAW, and then you create the channels which they're going to. So, so you've got 1 and 2, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. You set for me anyway, in Logic, you set the MIDI channel out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what you do in here, you have to marry up so it's triggered by the same thing. So what I mean by that, you've got to see it to believe it. So for a Maschine, you've got to, let's have a look. So here, this is a good example. So if I press play, hopefully it shouldn't blow up. No, it's fine. So it's that drum kit again. Now, everything is fine, but the difference with this one is that I've got the routing set up. So if you go into here, input MIDI, and it would need to be host 1 for channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So that means that these channels here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, will trigger the sounds in Maschine, and then you will be having a good time. So how do you get all this out? So you might be like, oh, I don't want to drag all that nonsense out, which is fine because you can just do it in one go. So if you have this in pattern view here, you can see out all the MIDI for each individual one. If you click and drag the other button, not the audio one, the MIDI one, click and drag, and we've drag it into number 1. Bang! There we go. So you've got all that MIDI. Now you've got all the MIDI from that drum kit. Whoop. That is the same MIDI as that. So, but obviously if you press play, it's going to play twice. It's going to pick up this and it's going to pick up that MIDI. So what you do is pattern, create a blackened pattern, and then press play, and then the MIDI in your DAW will play the sounds in here. There we go. So what's the benefit of this? Well, you can swap out things quite easily. So if we went to solo, like, oh, I don't like that kick, you can absolutely swap it out and the MIDI will stay the same. So let's go with, what's it? Drums, kick. I'm on instruments. What a donut. Hang on. Drums, kick. Yeah. There we go. So you can swap in context. You see what I mean? So I used to do that a lot. Why do I not still do it? I don't know. I just kind of fell out of love with it. Probably because each sound does need every sound in your drum kit needs its own MIDI region. So if you did have 16, so basically what I mean by that is no grouping. So you can't group all the hats together because you have to have the MIDI of each individual hat. So for example, here's all the hats. Yeah, so some people might export that as one audio file, bang, that's it, done. But so the arrangement can get messy because you've got so much MIDI on there. So much MIDI that you might not even know which one does what or what the sound is. So that is why I probably gave this up. It's handy, but yeah. I don't know. It is. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to make a new MIDI, so let's go. Could you just record in? I mean, if you wanted to make a new pattern, for example, once you've got that one, what would you do? Well, let's just try it. I mean, if you needed to make a new pattern for one specific instrument or sound, you could just do that, and then we drag it into number 9, which is G sharp bongo. That one, Dusty. That one. Yeah, so it's gonna bring in a load of rubbish. So because I've done the pattern view again, I've done it in where you can see all the MIDI. It's done exactly what we did when we imported the whole drum kit. So to fix that, instead, get rid of that, you have to go into the MIDI, as in the keyboard view, and then do the same thing, and then it'll just do that one sound. So G sharp with Dusty. There it is. So, I've got also I had record on still in Maschine, so it recorded in what was already playing in your DAW. So it'll record it back. It'll record it back in if you've got record selected in on Maschine. So there we go. So it's good. I suppose it's good if you want to make slight variations of your drums, because you've got everything. You've got all the sounds loaded, but you can make slightly different patterns quite easily without having to go back and change the audio. The problem, I think another problem, is with automation, because obviously you can have you can change automation. Basically, the automation in Maschine, it sticks to the pattern. So when you export the pattern, definitely in MIDI, the automation doesn't come with it, and that's the problem. So I had this set up so you could route something. Let's have a look. Where we go? If I went with the pitch, you can route specific things to your DAW, so that in the timeline, if you were doing this method, if you changed, you could draw in some automation on that specific thing you've selected. How do you do that? Well, I believe it has to be a macro. So what you would do, I haven't done this for a while. How do you edit to macro? Yeah, see, I've forgotten how to do it. But basically, oh, I know. There we go. So page post, right, so you'd select sampler, pitch, tune, right, and then I believe it has to go, you have to enable it, and that's called auto 1. There we go. So what we've done, we've created a macro for the pitch of that bongo, and then you can draw in, for example. Let's do it. But this is literally one channel for all your drum automation. It's just it'll get absolutely messy. But right. So here's the this is the pitch. Right, let's listen to this. So it's pretty cool, but that means you would have to do a macro for each individual thing that you want to automate in the drums. Is that a good thing? Some people might like that, but it might get really fiddly. So because you'd have so many macros, you'd have to have a macro for every single, step, all of it. So what's the alternative? You could do what I do and put the automation into, keep it in Maschine, and then export it as audio. So the automation is on the audio. But some people may like this way. But as you can imagine, it could get really, really fiddly. And I think that's why I didn't do it. But that is another way you can use it. So trust me, I've tried it all. So the final way I have been using Maschine with melodic things, not just obviously drums, but I've also been using it to, we like the ideas view in Maschine where you use several patterns on the same sound or same group. But then also you want to kind of see what different combinations work like in your DAW. So I think it's called either Session View in Ableton, but in Logic it's called Live Loops, and I'll show you how I've been using it recently, just to mix up combinations and see what sounds good with what. So here we go. So let's have a look. So let's create some patterns. You've got live loops on the left hand side, and then you've got obviously your machine here. So let's create some patterns, and then just we can export them into Logic and create different combinations. So let's have a go on this. Just a nonsense pattern. Drag the audio into here. So let's sorry, let's go back into this is the original view that I talked about. So this is, you get all your patterns in here, as I said, like Session View in Ableton, but now we've got it in here. So we press play. So that's pattern number 1. So you could do that for the same sound. So if we created number 2, get rid of that, and then we'll do the same thing. And that's a new pattern. Sounds pathetic. Same again. Drag it out here. And then we've kept that pattern. So we could do exactly the same thing. Do another one. So that's another one. And we've got each one of these down the bottom is like the same as that pattern in Ideas View. So we can press play. So we got them individually, but then you can combine them. So if we had these two together, for example, see what they would sound like. Nonsense. But then you could do the same thing over here. We have that one together, these two together. And flick between the two. It's the same thing as you would do if you were in the arrange view in Maschine, but you were just going through the timeline with different patterns. So pattern 2 there, pattern 3 there, pattern 1 there. But the difference is that you can have the combinations. Even though we're using one sound, we've got the different combinations that you could put together. So that's what I've been doing recently, just to see, just to give more perspective on different combinations. But also I like the fact that it kind of feels. If we have a look, if we basically, the way I've got on Maschine, you can switch to MIDI mode, and I've got these buttons here which are associated with these scenes down the bottom. So if I press button 1, pad 1, it'll place the session 1, or this idea 1. And then number 4. See, and so that in Logic is the equivalent, of being in Maschine and changing scene mode and going from one going over there. So it is possible, obviously depending on your DAW, but yeah, there's lots of ways you can do it. But that's what I've been testing out recently. So yeah, whatever floats your boat.